welcome to the Aging Boomers. I'm your host, Frank Sampson. Of course, on our show, we discuss so many of the issues facing boomers, their parents, and what is reality, and that's an aging population today. So I want to remind everybody that today's show is sponsored by Senior Care Authority, a senior placement and elder care consulting organization that has a national network of professionally trained and experienced local advisors to assist families. They'll work with you in determining the right path for you or your loved one and discuss various long-term care options, whether it's in-home care, assisted living, memory care, or if you just need an advocate, you can get advice from a Senior Care Authority advisor for your loved one in your area. For a 30-minute consultation, you could contact Senior Care Authority at 888-809-1231, or you could go directly to the website at www.seniorcareauthority.com. So I want to just, again, thank everybody for all their support. Our listeners are growing every single day, and it's because of you, because everybody's getting the word out. Certainly, many of you are listening to the show on iTunes, iHeartRadio. I would say that the majority of our listeners are just downloading our free app. You just go in, type in the Aging Boomers on your iPhone or Android phone, and you could just listen. So you could do that. It makes it easy while you're going for your walk or workout in the morning. You could listen to some great interviews with people. Speaking about great interviews with people, we have with us Gloria Dunn. Is it violin? Is that just how it's pronounced?
It's actually spelled like a violin, but it's violin.
Oh, violin. I should have asked you. Gloria Dunn-Violin. So Gloria spent 25 years in the workplace providing services and training, coaching, and consulting in the field of organizational development and behavior, and was a professional speaker through her own business, Wiser Ways to Work. She also authored a book, From Making a Living to Having a Life, and also her book on the other side of that journey is Revivement, which we'll learn what that is, Having a Life After Making a Living. So, Gloria, thank you so much for joining us on the Aging Boomers.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is an important subject matter that we all think about. It's a different type of retiree today than it was years ago. I know that's for sure. So tell us how the retirees today are adjusting to this particular stage of their life.
Well, there's a variety of ways. Some wake up on day one and they're in great surprise because retirement isn't what they expected it to be in the way they expected it to be. You have a lot of more freedom, a lot of more time, and you have to know what you're doing with it. But they're so happy to be away from the freeways and someone else's deadlines and all the other reasons that they were waiting for this to happen, this retirement time of their lives. But it can be confusing. It's actually a huge transition for people if they have not pre-thought and pre-planned for it.
Yeah, I would think so. So is this, would you say that this particular direction, most people are surprised by it, or most people plan pretty well and adjust pretty quickly?
Oh, and most people are surprised. It's just not what they expected. They thought, oh, well, I'm going to go sit on the couch and watch TV, or I'm going to lay in my hammock, or I'm going to travel a little bit, because they always had all this time filled for them. And now they have all this open-ended time that they have to fill. And it quite on the good side, it's the best time of life possible, but you just need to know how to take this journey and make it yours and make it the best. And I hope we'll talk more about that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We got time here. We have time. So in your book, you talk about losing 4 parts of yourself when you retire. Can you expound upon that a little bit?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Well, the first part that I've heard from so many people is their ego, their persona. They used to be able to say, hey, I was a fireman, or I was director of marketing for this company, or I was something. Their whole identity was based on what they were. And now they aren't that, and they're saying, who am I? So that persona is lost to them. Of course, it doesn't have to be, but temporarily it is. Another part is the socialization piece. When you go into work, there's all these people. You have meetings, you have potlucks, you have people in the office or in the hospital or wherever you're working, and now they're gone. There's nobody. Maybe you're sitting at home alone or with your spouse. The other part is the schedule. You've always known what you were doing 24/7. You were going to work 40 to 60 hours a week. You had holidays, you had vacations, you had weekends. All gone now. I mean, all that time that was planned for you, you need to take a look at planning yourself, which is wonderful, but it's a little scary, and it's a little, people are overcome by the freedom and the amount of time they have. And then the fourth part, which is so important, is the sense of purpose. At least when you go into work, you have a goal to achieve. You have something to get done. People are counting on you for something. And now that's gone. And there's a lot of ways to put purpose back into your life, but it's very essential. So those are the 4 major components that I see people need to really deal with.
Yeah. So I would think, I'm not there yet, but I would think, in my own mind, I'll just speak for myself, that there would be kind of I guess an adjustment period, or, I guess to stop work totally, exactly what you've been doing cold turkey, I got to believe is a big adjustment. All right. So what do you feel people need to do to kind of ease into that adjustment versus just one day you're running a mile a minute and the next day you're not doing anything? Right. Well, there's different ways to do it. One way is to phase in to retirement by downsizing your work, maybe getting to work part-time or on a consulting basis or contractual basis, or asking your employer, if you work for somebody else, for flex time. There's reduced work days. There's a variety of ways to stay attached to your job, but maybe half the hours and half the energy, and start using the rest of this time to figure out what you're going to do with your life. Now, people like me love to work, so I don't want to phase out. I want to stay in the game, but I have my own business, and I'm excited about what I'm doing. Some people need to just take 6 months off at the get-go and just do anything they darn please, and then start integrating the new life into their lives. I heard, I've talked to several people, and of course, and one professional said to me that he had retired and he was out for about 6 months, and he said he got a lot of things done. And then all of a sudden, he thought, what am I going to do with myself? And fortunately, his employer asked him to come back. And so he went back to work. And you'll see that with people today, that they either need to fill time and they need money because we're living a lot longer. So a lot of people do go back to work, but it doesn't have to be full-time anymore. Right. All right. I would think especially somebody who really has an expertise in an area, they're probably not so easy to replace.
Well, that is so true. And what's happening in companies is they're losing their experienced people, their seasoned people are retiring in droves, and they're losing that kind of knowledge that they count on to be successful. And so it behooves the companies actually to hold on to these people on a part-time basis and have them transfer that knowledge over to the younger employees and mentor those younger employees so that they can come up to snuff and really take the place of the ones that want to retire. So there's benefits for the employer to keep people on a phased-in retirement.
Is that something you try to really advise people if they're working for somebody to try to do that phased retirement strategy, as you call it, or even if they have their own business, that maybe they start turning the helm over to other employees or family members and kind of phase that way? Is that something you think is a better approach for most?
Yes, and any way you can do it if you really want to change. Some people want to not do whatever that was anymore, whatever that career was. They've done it, and they want to try something new. But on the way to something new, you might want to hold on to what was just, for the energy and for the interaction with people and for some of those things that you lose. Hold on to it long enough until you get where you want to go. If that's how you function, we're all so individual that people have to find their own way. They have to understand the whole picture, and then they have to find what way actually works for them.
Right.
I talked to a doctor who retired. He was a surgeon, and then he was able to get back in and kind of do some teaching. And now he's not doing that, and he's just so unhappy. Mm-hmm. And I told him, there are still so many things you do. People who have come to this age have acquired so many skills. They have so much knowledge. They have so much to offer. There are so many ways to get it out there, but you've got to find those ways and make them work for you.
In your research, have you found a lot of that, where people retire and then actually start to get depressed, and is that kind of
yes.
That's a lot of people go through that, huh?
Oh, well, my research shows that people who have no reason to get up in the morning, they retire, they don't have a plan, they don't know what they're going to do. A lot of them die, get sick, or get depressed. And it's statistics. It's not me just talking. This is research statistics. And an example is Teddy Roosevelt, our former president, Teddy Roosevelt,
right,
who, when he was working, he was so on purpose, he was vigorous, he was vital, he was doing things for his country and his people, and so purposeful that it gave him life. And then when he retired early, he went home and got depressed. And so he tried to make a comeback, but he lost, and he went home and got depressed again. And this is a man who made such a huge contribution to our country, who died unhappy at the early age of 61. He's just one of many examples. And that was a time where you didn't expect to live as long as we do today. And today, there are a lot of centenarians. We're going to live a whole lot longer.
Sure. And
we really need to make this work for us. There is one thing I would like to add to our conversation a little earlier, which does align with this as well, when we were talking about purpose. Mm-hmm. Just a fact that's amazing to me is that research shows that people with high purpose are 2.4 times more likely to remain free of Alzheimer's disease. You see, we need to be engaged in something meaningful. We need to be engaged in life.
Right. I know I've talked to many people, and even if it's learning an instrument, doing something to keep that mind active. So I agree. I agree.
And if I may add to that, we've learned with scientific research that the brain can be smarter and younger. And so whatever you can do to stimulate that brain, instruments are great. Going to ongoing learning classes are great. Challenge yourself with puzzles or word games, or there's a whole slew of ways to keep your brain active. And people need to. I've got a little bit about that in my book as well. But we're so more in charge of becoming what we want to be today than we ever were.
So I do want to talk about your book. You've come up with a term, which is the name of your book, called Revivement. All right.
Yes.
And the name of your book's Revivement: Having a Life After Making a Living. Tell
yes.
us more about that term, revivement. What does it mean, and for those who are retiring?
Well, it's quite to replace the word retirement, because if you look at the word retirement, in the middle there's a word tired, Tire. Right. Tired. You're
right.
done. You're finished, and that's what retirement used to mean. Retirement used to mean you're done. You're finished. Go sit on the porch, Well, I came up with Revivement because this is a time for a new beginning. This is a time to revitalize and renew yourself and go your next phase of life with all that you bring to the table. Like I said earlier, you have knowledge and skills and talents and all these things you've evolved over time, and now you have all that to bring to the table and do whatever you want next. So we're reviving people. We're not retiring them. And if I get my way, I'll spread that word around.
Yeah. So
I hope people will start using revivement instead of retirement.
That's great. No, I love the term. I love it. So
thank you.
give us some examples of what you've seen of people that have, kind of taken that term, revivement, and really put it to use. Give us some examples of that.
Well, people start, first of all, they start figuring out what they want to be and what they want to do in this next phase of life. And in fact, the back of my book has 15 exercises to help people work through some of this stuff. But they start having fun and enjoying whatever else they thought they wanted to do years ago but never took the time for, never spent the money on, or whatever reason held back. And now they're trying things out. I myself had always wanted to be an actress since I was a little kid. And so one of the things I did when I had a slow time between careers is go to a community college and take an acting class. Well, I realized that I'm a speaker, and I'd rather be who I am as a speaker than an actress. But at least I tried it out. You try this out, you try that out, you see what fits for you. And then you get to take that on a journey with you to the next place you want to play with it. I believe we need to come out and play. We need to figure out the different ways to enjoy ourselves. And now there's this space of time to do that. Right.
So I'll bet you I know the answer to this question, but
okay.
But that you're going to give us, all right? But I want to ask it anyway, all right?
Okay.
I mean, it seems as though we have embedded in our heads that when you turn the age of 65, or right around there, that's retirement time, all right? Do you think that that is a negative from just a I don't know what standpoint, but from the standpoint that people think that if you're older than 65, that it puts the pressure on people. It's like you get questions from friends. Are you retired yet? No, I'm not. And it may be by choice, not necessarily the dollars. All right.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts there on that?
Well, I like to respond that the age 65 is something Social Security gave us. They said you could take Social Security when you're 62 or 65, but when they came out with that in about 1945, they thought people wouldn't live past 66. I mean, nobody knew we would have as long a life as we have now. So it painted a picture that people were old. And what's pitiful about that is ageism is unfortunately alive and well out there in society, in the workplace, everywhere, and we have to change that misperception. We also have to change the misperception about what you're talking about in terms of, you're 65 now you're going to retire. Now what are you going to do with your life? The answer is I'm going to have a life. Right. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to take all I am and all I know and all my skills and do something else or do what I want. And I think, again, my research shows, if you negate people, if you put them down, they feel that and they get down inside themselves. And what we have to do is lift people and say, great, go for it. Don't denigrate somebody because they're a certain age. And I'll tell you my age. I don't know if you know my age, but I hope
read
you
about
haven't.
It. Yeah, but
pardon me.
I read it. I'll go ahead and share it with our listeners. It's amazing. So
I'm 78.
Yeah,
and I am not old.
No,
just
you're
because
not.
This planet has gone around the sun 78 times. That has nothing to do with my age. I am young, I'm spunky, I'm having fun, I'm doing meaningful work, I'm on purpose. That doesn't mean I'm not human, that doesn't mean I don't have bad days. I'm human, I have ups and downs and all of that. But I certainly, my body may feel a little older, but the rest of me is not old. And
right.
and I love to tell people that because I want to change that mindset.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a mindset. We got to change it because we're going to be living over 100 now.
Yeah, pretty common.
And
that's right. Much more common than it was, that's for sure.
And you don't want to go around for the next 30 or 40 years thinking you're old.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, exactly. So tell us a little bit. I'd love to learn more about your book. Again, it's called Revivement, Having a Life After Making a Living. I think it just came out recently, didn't it?
Yes,
yeah, Yeah, and so who's, I guess, the target are those people that are maybe approaching retirement age, or maybe I'm wrong. I mean, who really should be reading your book? Tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay, well, I've heard people, once they are over 50, they start thinking about it. They start thinking about retirement. They're not going to do it yet, but they're thinking about it. So I feel the marketplace starts after 50 and probably goes to my age, since I'm still fooling around here, having a good time. And the idea is that if you start your revivement process early, before you retire, way before you retire, now you ease into it. You don't have this huge transition that people who are unaware have. But you're putting the balance of your life together early. And so you're just balancing your life and having a life, and part of it is work. And then one day you just ease into that next phase. That's the goal. So you can start anywhere after 50. And the exercises, again, in the back of the book are to help people of all ages kind of get it together.
Great. And how can people get the book?
Oh, thank you for asking. Well, it's on Amazon, of course. It should be in bookstores, hopefully. I just launched it at a local bookstore here, Book Passage. So I'm hoping it'll get into the bookstores. You know, they have their timelines and stuff. But Amazon does have the book.
Great. And I know we really just have about a minute or two left, but maybe quickly tell people about the consulting work you do and how people could, reach you if they wanted to either have you participate in any speaking engagements or just any consulting. Tell us more.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, first I'll give them my websites because then they can see who I am and how to contact me.
Perfect.
And there is one called havingalifenow.com. So it's www.havingalifenow.com. And the other one is more about the book. It's called www.revivementbook.com. And there is a link to Amazon, actually, on that page.
Great.
It's Revivement, REVIVEMENT revivementbook.com. And I give pre-retirement workshops about life, and I write. And in any way that I can be of help, my purpose is to help people get a life and enjoy it. So thank you for asking me that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Aging Boomers, Gloria. You got to check out her book on Amazon, Revivement. REVIVEMENT, Having a Life After Making a Living. Check it out on Amazon. And Gloria, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure. It was
thank you so much. Thanks.
And I want to thank everybody else out there for joining us on the Aging Boomers. Just be safe out there, and we'll talk to you all soon.